They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony.
In a very short period of time, I found myself working with a lot of the major artists, especially in those days. Artists like Queen Latifah, artists like Brandy, artists like Heavy D, artists like the Wu-Tang Clan and Tribe Called Quest, and all of these different hip-hop and R&B artists. I started going on auditions, I would dance, they would love my talent, and they would bring me on tour. Before you know it, I was the guy now that everybody was watching on television. I literally became famous. I was on TV now. And people started to see me. They would see me in the videos. They would see me working and dancing with all these different artists. I started to go on tours. I remember one time when I was specifically with Queen Latifah. And when I was with Queen Latifah, we went on tour. We started to do a tour where we went all throughout the U.S. And I remember one time we was on tour with a group of individuals. There was a group called Leaders of the New School. One of the guys there is a big hip-hop artist today. His name is Busta Rhymes. And here it is that he was on that tour. And I remember also there was another group called Naughty by Nature. Interesting name, is it not? Naughty by Nature, Tretch. He was the chief or the head hip-hop artist of that group. And I remember that all these guys were there and we're all on tour, we're dancing, crowds are worshiping us, we were loving it. And here it is that one night it was Tretch's birthday. And he decided that he wanted to go ahead and have a party at a local club in Kentucky. Well, he decided, I'm going to go ahead and have a party. So he threw a party on, and boy, I'll never forget this. I mean, unfortunately, this stuff is vivid in my mind. And I remember that literally when Tretch started to have this party, that he started to invite everybody. Now, brothers and sisters, let me make something clear. If you're going to live the street life, at least understand the rules. The rule was, you don't just open up a party to anybody because the world is filled with jealousy. But he decided to do that. He said, I'm going to go ahead and open up a party. I'm going to have a party for my birthday, and I'm going to invite everybody. They used to have something called VIP, which means that you had to be a very important person in order to get into the party. But he didn't do that. He said, nope, remove this VIP stuff. I want everybody to come in. So lo and behold, people started to come, including the local drug dealers. And when the local drug dealers came in there, they said, look, we're the superstars in here, and we're the ones in all this stuff. You see, Satan has a way of setting up a web. He puts out the attractions, and this is why when I used to go to a lot of religious schools and what have you, I would talk to the young people because it seemed as if the world I was coming out of, many of them were trying to go into it. And I would tell them, and I would say, you see, you're only seeing half the picture because what you see on TV, that's the trap. That's the web. It's kind of like the Venus flytrap where it has its mouth open and it has the nice little pretty little sticky stuff inside of it so that the fly says, man, this looks good. And when the fly lands on it and that Venus flytrap begins to close up and that fly realizes, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, he tries to get out, but he's stuck and he can't get out. The entertainment industry, brothers and sisters, it's a trap. They show you the pretty side. They show you the nice cars. Brothers, they're going to show you all the pretty young ladies. Ladies are going to show you all the handsome gentlemen. And they're going to make it look like this is the life. But the problem is, there's more to the story. You see, I saw the other side of the story. When we were inside that club, brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, I saw things that I pray to God you'll never see. I've seen people die. I've seen people get shot. I've seen people get killed. I've seen that with my own eyes. And it's not easy to erase those images from your mind. And brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, when we was at that club, these drug dealers started to start all their drama. They started all their trouble. They started doing everything that they could. And brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, before you know it, a fight broke out. It was a terrible fight. They started taking Heineken bottles, beer bottles, and they started smashing it all over people's faces. Everywhere I could look, all I saw was blood. It got to a point that even the police officers, now when the police, listen, if a riot breaks out, and if you see police officers show up, shouldn't that give you some feeling of relief? Am I right? That should give you a feeling of relief because you feel like, whew, here's the people who's going to come in and get everything under control, right? Not that night. The police came in. There was a hip-hop artist by the name of Ice-T. Ice-T had a song that was called Cop Killer in those days. That song, Cop Killer, the LA police specifically, Los Angeles Police Department, if any police department wanted that man dead, it was that department, because there were people who was listening. You see, Satan has a method where this is why the hip-hop music, the R&B music, that stuff is of the devil certified, period. Brothers and sisters, I've been there, I've done that. Don't come to me with theory on it. I'm telling you from experience. It has hypnotic effect. It has a way of penetrating the mind and getting the mind to do whatever the song is saying. Why do you think Paul says in Philippians 4 and verse 8, he says, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, Paul said, think on these things. Why did Paul say think on these things? Could it be because Proverbs 23 and verse 7 says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. I remember seeing young men and they would start walking like they got some limp. You ever see these young guys, who walk with a limp? It's like, when a person walks, they walk like this. Is that right? When a person walks, you see them walk like this. But then all of a sudden, there's certain young people, when you see them walk, all of a sudden they're... And I'm saying, okay, where did that come from? Did they come out of their mother's womb walking like that? No, brothers and sisters. By beholding, they became changed. Young ladies who wear clothing that make them look like prostitutes in training. Did they come out their mother's wombs like that? No. By beholding, they became changed. Paul knew what he was talking about. Think on these things. Well, here it is that I'm in this club. There's all this fighting going on. And lo and behold, the police came. And when the police came, just when you were ready to say yes, all of a sudden they came in and they said, where's Ice-T? They were looking for him. They said, where's Ice-T? They wanted him. I guarantee you if they would have caught Ice-T that night, Ice-T would not be alive today. I believe that with all my heart. They wanted that man dead. Well, Ice-T already escaped out, but they found one of the guys who worked with him. And they took the guy, and here it is that you're thinking, okay, the police car is this way. The police have one of the guys, so you're thinking that the police are obviously going to walk this way to take the guy out. But instead, they grab the guy, and they're walking this way. And I'm looking, saying, why are they going that way? I'm hiding under a table, by the way. Literally, I'm hiding under a table. The police officer walked this way. They take that man inside of a bathroom, and I begin to hear a man scream like I've never heard screaming in my life. He was screaming for his dear life. You could hear movement inside of the bathroom like things were being knocked out of its place. And when they took that man outside of there, his face was so swollen, and there was so much blood on his face. And those cops absolutely brutalized and beat that man to a pulp. So it was like, who can you trust? Well, when all this was over, we went to the hospital. And as we went to the hospital, I ended up getting to a point where I was kind of thinking, like, what just happened? Because all I wanted to do was dance. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to dance, show my talent, make some money. That's it. I didn't sign up for all this fringe benefits. But brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, there's so much about that lifestyle. I've had bullets pass so close by my head that I could feel the wind from it. I've had several friends, I can think of 5 off the top of my head, every single one of them dead. One of them killed themselves because of the stress of life. And the others shot down and killed, just ridiculous. But we're all involved in this industry. And here it is that this was the life that we lived. We got back inside of the van. We dropped people off to the hospital. We got inside the van. I'm thinking we're going back to the hotel. But instead of us going back to the hotel, instead, brothers and sisters, they said, go back to the club. Go back to the club? Why would we go back to the club? Y'all still want to party? We just finished getting beat up. Oh, why in the world would you want to go back to the club? They said, no, go back to the club, because when we get back to that club, if we see those guys, those local drug dealers, they said, we're going to kill them. You heard one man say, give me the bag. Literally, they took a big white laundry bag. What's inside of the laundry bag? 9mm. 10 millimeter, Tech 9, Uzi, all of these different various type of semi-automatic guns. And they're taking all these things out to kill these people. And I'm thinking to myself, all I came to do was dance, and they're now compelling me to become a murderer. It was only by the grace of God that when we went back, there was so many police around that club that we had to turn away. Well, ultimately, we went back and we came back to New York. And as we came back to New York, a friend of mine, TJ, he said something very strange to me. He said, listen, I want you to understand that it was like TJ was back and forth in the church. He was a Pentecostal. He loved church, but he loved to dance just like me. And we started doing a whole lot of things. As a matter of fact, put up the screen real quick. I want to show you a couple of these slides. We started doing so much that it got to a point that it wasn't simply, music videos, but we started to do commercials. There were a lot of Sprite and Coca-Cola commercials that I started doing them, and I would be dancers, and we would be dancers in these commercials. Then in addition to that, there was a great television program that used to come out in those days, of course, great in the worldly sense, New York Undercover. And I got a chance to even get an acting role in New York Undercover. So, I mean, literally, I'm going all out. I'm like, Satan, I'm yours. I gave myself to him, and I didn't even realize it. And I was getting swallowed up by this industry. And I remember that as I'm going throughout all of these things, it got to a point that while we're there and doing all this stuff, that one day TJ, he comes to me, we took a break from the tours, TJ comes to me and he says, hey, Dwayne, listen, I'm not going back on tour. I'm not going back in the industry. I said, why? He said, because Christ and the world cannot mix. And that's what he said to me. And I remember hearing him say, and I said, wait a minute, come again? He said, Jesus and the world cannot mix. Can't do both, man. You got to choose whose side you're on. I've chosen the Lord's side. I said, you're crazy. Because they loved TJ. TJ was a very, very talented dancer. They loved him. I said, are you kidding me? You're killing your career. He said, listen, that's it. Gave his heart to the Lord afresh. And he surrendered fully. Well, I said, well, you go ahead. And I said, I'm going to keep dancing.